I think it's okay to say he has been a mentor, he has been a friend, he has held my hand, even if he doesn't know that he has been holding my hand in this thing called leadership. The first time I saw him, the question I asked him is, how do you do this thing called leadership so well? Because he does it so effortlessly, he does it with grace, right? And so I am quite, you know, thrilled, honored, in lack of words. I'm so grateful that he's here to speak with us. He is the co-founder and CEO of Hadi Business School. He's the co-founder, sorry, co-founder and COO, not CEO, co-founder and CEO of Hadi Business School. Can we put our hands together as we invite Mr. I hope he's here. I know I saw him here. Let me just make sure. Mr. Dami Oguntunde, right? Thank you very much, sir. You're welcome, sir.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Can we all hear me?
Yes, we can. Good evening, sir.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, EDK, for the great work you're doing. And it's an honor to be here. And I'm really excited about what we're set to do and receive as well. Also, I was blessed by the last speaker's session. I caught a few things, and God bless your heart, ma'am, for sharing so freely. Okay, so again, thank you so much, EDK, for this incredible honor. Sharing. I'm trying to see if I can. All right, share my screen. All right. Can we all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right, fantastic. So I have about 40 minutes thereabouts. So I'll try to maximize it to the best of my ability. Thank you once again, EDK, for providing me this opportunity to share thoughts, which I hope will be transformational with this young, folks who are just about leaving service here and are seeking to make something really impactful with their lives. All right. I'm a pastor. I lead young people. EDK was a member of our church in Lagos before he went to Abuja. Well, this is finally giving me the consolation for his departure because now, because he left, he was able to connect with all of you here. So I finally forgiven him for leaving. But I mean,
Awesome.
it was a huge blessing to us at the tribe. It was my protocol officer. It was actually the first protocol officer that we had, and fantastic person. And thank you once again for bringing me on board. All right, so I'll be sharing on what I've titled "Leaving to Pack a Punch." Leaving to pack a punch. I don't know how many of you have been punched in the face before, but one thing is certain, you cannot be the same person before you were punched, the way you were before you were punched, after you have been punched. All right. A punch changes everything. It changes everything. Growing up, you hear things like you're seeing stars. It's like, your head is rotating on its own axis and you're just totally out of sorts, with reality when you're punched in the face. Now, I'm not sure I've been punched in the face before, to be honest, but I know that at least a slap is a close equivalent, and at least I remember being slapped in the face several years ago. But my point here is this: there is a way you can live your life that you will really pack a punch. All right. Uh, One of the most heavyweight champions, right, of boxing in the world was Mike Tyson. All right, and he he was known to actually have a very strong punch, even though he was not the one with the strongest weight of a punch. But the idea is, you just do everything to avoid that punch because if you receive that punch on your face, you may be too disoriented to give a feedback, or to be too disoriented to respond, or to give a comeback because you'll probably be on the floor because of the weight of that punch. Now, there's some people in this life, they live life and life does not even feel their impact. There are some others that when they live life and they go through life, life never recovers from their impact. And that's because of the kind of life they have lived. And I heard the last speaker talking a lot about purpose, and I believe purpose is a very major factor in living to pack a punch. And this is very important. All right. So that said, my name is Dami Oguntunde, and I'm really passionate about human capital development, and I truly believe in the human potential to become all that God has ordained her to become. Now, I'll start from a God perspective because I believe that's the foundation of anything meaningful in life. We can't go around it. There's no way to psych you up into success outside of God. All right, God is our potential, God is our source, and God is our resource. And what I mean by that is that God is our potential in the sense that He is our target, He is our possibility, He is the representation of what is possible. Your potential is a sequencing of what is possible. So when I see somebody with potential, I see somebody who can become a lot more than they currently are. Now, God is our potential. It is God that gives us that capacity to believe that we can do things because He can do things. All right. He made us into co creators. So everything God created, He created it as a creation. But for us, man, we are not just a creation, we're a co creator creation. That means we, man, can also create just like God can create. That's really remarkable. So God is our potential. We can create like God can. I mean, all God needed to create in the beginning was the first man. And then he took, all right, from his rib, the second person who happened to be the woman. And then both of them began to create the next generation of human beings. And just from Adam alone, because Adam created, or from Adam we had Eve, and then both of them created the next series of human beings that we've had for the last about 6,000 years. We count from that dispensation. And that tells you the power of that potential that God has placed in man. And everything also He created, apart from, I mean, the moon, the stars, the vegetation, the animals, water, land, mountains, rocks, and all these things. Everything that we see in the world today was created from those raw materials. It was not God that created the chair in your living room. It was not God that created the kettle in your kitchen. It was not God that created the frying pan you used to eat. It was not God that created the cars you're driving. It is not God that tarred the road. But you see, God created man, and inside man, He created that potential to be able to co create along with Him. And that is what makes God our target. God is that person that we are looking up to so that we can try to approximate His potential, what He's able to do. Now, apart from the fact that God is our target, He's also our sponsor because He's our source. Now, everything that we eat came from the soil. And you see, because it came from the soil, it needs to be planted into the soil to create that which is inside it. That means the seed, no matter how powerful it is, if it is not planted inside the soil from where it was taken, it cannot also become the fullness of what it can do. And so there is a reason to plug back into our source so that we can receive all that is embedded in our spirit. And so, as much as you're a powerful person that God has created with a lot of potential and capacity and credibility and amazing gifts and talents, if you are not plugged into God, there is a limitation to how much of that potential you will see. So, God is not just a potential in the sense that you must target Him. He is the one that you are running after, trying to be like. He's also your source. He's the one that you must be planted in. You know, a poet said it in Athens, and then Paul reiterated it. He said, "It is in God we live, it is in Him we move, it's in Him we have our being." And that's powerful. And then the last thing is that God is our resource. Everything we will ever need to produce all the things that He wants us to produce so that we can be like Him, He is also the person that gets us those factors of production. So God is our resource, God is our source, and God is our potential. And that is why it's good to start on that note. Because if you understand these things, it gives you a confidence that you can't fail. Because God is your sponsor, God is your potential, God is your resource, God is your partner. He's the one that is collaborating with you to ensure that you do not fail. God is the project manager. You are the project. You are not just the project manager of your life, you are the project that God is managing. And so the chances of you failing is second to nothing. That is, it is almost impossible for you to fail because God is with you. But before we go further, I'd like to just share some things with respect to the limitation that people have placed on themselves. Now, everything that I just described about God being your target, God being your potential, God being your sponsor, God being your resource, and all of these interesting and amazing things, it will surprise you that a lot of people still condition themselves by three factors. And I'm going to share those three factors in a moment. With all the potential that we have still, to a large extent, as human beings, limited our potential, limited our capacity, limited our possibilities. And there are three major things that have limited those things. The very first one is a political limitation. A political limitation. And the second thing is an economical limitation. And then the third thing is a geographical limitation. And I call this syndrome the PEG syndrome. And as you know, like what pegs do is that they create a boundary. They hem you in, they hedge you in. And so a peg is a boundary. A peg is something that keeps and marks a boundary, that puts a limitation to your expression. And a peg limits how far you can go. And so many people believe that the major barrier between them and their true potential is their political climate. Oh, the president of our country. Oh, the political climate in this nation. Oh, the councillor, the senator, the minister, the House of Assembly reps, the president, the vice president. In fact, the political landscape is not friendly to my emergence. So this is not the best climate to thrive. And then some others say, you know what, the economy is really bad, fuel is rising, inflation is really at an all-time high, things are just going from bad to worst, and things are just getting more and more difficult. Jobs are not anywhere to be found, employment is hard to come by, and there is the political side, there is the economic side, and these two things most often are not contribute to your dissatisfaction with your location. And you say, you know what, Nigeria is not a good place to be. I'm tired of this country. I need to get out of here. And you begin to feel like the problem is Nigeria. The problem is the politics. The problem is economic. And I want to tell you that that is the PEG mindset. That's the PEG syndrome. And that is the way many youths, many young people are thinking in our world today. When things are not going their way, they think, oh, the government is the problem. Once things are not going their way, they say, you know what, the economy is the problem. Once things are not going their way, you know what, oh, it's the country that I'm living in. Oh, how I wish God had just given birth to me, or God gave me to some parents that are Canadian, some parents that are Australian, parents that are South Korean, parents that are in the UK, the United States of America. Why on earth did he throw me into this God-forsaken country, quote unquote? And this is the language and the rhetoric of slaves. And I must tell you that this is how slaves talk. The language of slaves is complaints. The language of slaves is complaints. If you go to, a massive field where there are all kinds of slaves working the field, getting sugar, plantain, and all kinds of stuff, and all of that in the plantation and all that, one thing that is dominant in how the slaves are governed is complaining, complaining. And that's why you notice that by the time Moses took the children of Israel out of Egypt, of course, they were no longer slaves after the Lord delivered them from Egypt, but the slavery was now encoded in their psyche. They had been slaves for 400 years. And so a deliverance was not going to automatically format their mindset. Their mindset was still reminiscent of the reality of Egypt. So by the time they got into the wilderness and on their way to the promised land, they could not stop complaining. Even though God was incredibly generous and benevolent to them, they continued to complain every chance they got. They complained about their food, they complained about water, they complained about the location, they complained about wild animals, they continued to complain. Even when God gave them food, they complained again about the fact that the food was too much. The fact that is it always manna? We want something more. We want some flesh. We want to eat. They complained all the time because they were internally slaves. No wonder they could not enter into the promised land, because the promised land is not meant for slaves. The promised land is not meant for slaves. And if you check your rhetoric, if you check the things you're saying, are you always making everything all about the political climate, all about the economic situation, all about the geography that you find yourself? I tell the truth that greener pasture is not a place. Greener pasture is a mindset. Greener pasture is not a location. Greener pasture is a mindset. If you carry your brown mindset into a green pasture, that green pasture will soon turn brown. We want to go to a place that was built by men who did not have a greener pasture before they built it. They built the greener pasture because it was first inside of them before it became something that they lived in. Then they left that legacy for several children and their children's children. And then people who are not part of that legacy now say, you know what, I want to enter into that system and I want to take all the benefits in that system that I never worked for. And I'm not saying it is wrong to travel abroad. I'm not saying it is wrong to jackpot as a Japanese that you are or a jackpot that you want to be. All right. I'm not saying it is wrong to travel out. God may be sending you to another country. But I'm telling you the mindset that creates those countries that we admire. It was not a country that they traveled in and that was how they made. No, 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 no. It was people who did not have a country that was desirable. They created that country from the scratch. And I'll be showing you some of those people as we go along in this session. The peg context in the Nigerian context. What we believe to be our dominant problem. Now, if you believe your dominant problem is political, it will influence what you perceive to be the solution to your problem. If you think your problem is political, you will always fight for power. And by the time you arrive at that place of power, you will abuse it inevitably because it is psychological wiring. How many of you remember when you were in secondary school? I mean, I'm sure you'll be able to remember it a bit more freshly. Your seniors beat you if you went to boarding house. Your seniors in SS1, SS2, SS3, they were flogging you. They would always flog you. Any small thing, they'll flog you. Give us food, give us your provisions. If you don't have, they'll flog you. Yeah, go and fetch this water. If you don't come early, they'll flog you. And you were always very mad, like very angry. Why are these people always flogging us? Why are they always angry with us? And in your mind, you thought you would never flog any young, junior students. You're like this guy. These are very wicked seniors. I will never be like them. Never, never. You got into SS1, SS2, SS3. When you got to SS3, you did not even realize when you started flogging. In fact, you flogged people more than they flogged you because you have been conditioned by what you suffered. You have been conditioned by what you suffered. If you think your problem is political, this government is bad, this government is bad, and in your mind, you're like, man, this government has deprived me of my opportunities. This government, because of this government, I'm not able to arrive at my position of authority. Because of this government, I'm not able to build the business I want to build. Because of this government, the things I want to start, I'm not able to start because of this government. By the time you have any sniff of power, you will abuse it because you would also want to never go back to the situation that made you desire to be in power in the first place. So when you get into power, you want to guzzle up all the potential resources that is probably meant for 10,000 people. You want to get it all to yourself so that you never have to be in that position where you were 10 years ago before you arrived in that place of power. This is what is creating the cyclical realities of political power and abuse that we find in our country today. People who were abused by their own government get into government offices and they begin to abuse the people that they used to be like some several years before. So if you think your problem is political, your solution will be fighting for power. And by the time you get to that place of power, you would abuse it. If you think your problem is economic, you will be obsessed with making money by any means, and you will be so obsessed with it. This is why God would say that you cannot serve God. He didn't say God and Satan, he said God and Mammon. Because there are those who live for money, there are those who live for impact. There's a world of difference between the two. I would encourage you to live for impact and not for money. If you follow impact, money will pursue you. But if you follow money, impact will run away from you. Because you will rob people of their dignity in order to make money. You will trample upon people in order to make money. You will relegate and belittle the human capacity. You will belittle people. You will trample under your feet human beings that have dignity just because you want to make money. You will use people for the end of making money. You will not think of people as the image of God anymore. You will just see people as a means to an end, a means to make you make money. And that is why we must not have this mindset, a political, economic, and geographically pegged mindset. And of course, there's a geographical situation where you just believe that Nigeria, there's just a lot of problem in Nigeria. Even if they change the president tomorrow, there's still a problem in Nigeria. Even if the economy is better, even if Naira becomes 200 per dollar and fuel becomes 21 naira. Because I was telling someone today that I remember when fuel was 21 naira per liter. I in this Nigeria, and I'm not 50 years old, in this same Nigeria, fuel was 21 naira per liter. I remember it. So you will say things like that, like, you know what, it's time to travel out of this country. I'm tired. Any money I get like this, I'll just go around like this. As long as you're having this mindset, listen, your mindset will not suddenly change because you change location. I'll say that again. Your mindset will not suddenly change simply because you change location. It won't suddenly change. It is still the same mindset you will go there with a slavery mindset, and you will go there and you will become slaves to people who have a superior thinking mentality. And so why not carry that mindset even from here and develop the country that the Lord has given to you? Of course, like I said, this is a caveat. If the Lord has asked you to travel, please go ahead and travel. But ensure that you keep putting pressure on yourself to continue to improve the quality of your mindset, the quality of your thinking, so that you'll be a blessing even in that place that you're going to. And not a victim, not someone who you are waiting for handouts, you're waiting for jobs because you're not a person of value by yourself. And you're trying to look for all kinds of funny means to enter a country just so they can get their certificate or they call it pali, the card, the green card, whatever they call it, so that you can have some form of a stay. You marry somebody that is 10 times older than you. You are just totally, you are out of sorts. You've lost a radar, you've lost compass of your destiny simply because you want to make ends meet. There is a mindset of those that will reign. There is a mindset of those that will reign. And any mindset that thinks politics is his problem, the economy is his problem, or Nigeria is his problem, he does not have a sense of responsibility that can change and transform this country, after all. And so it is important that we understand this. The problem with PEG is that it pegs your expectations and possibilities to who is leading you, who is giving to you, and where you are located. Because if you think your problem is political, then you know that if the politics does not change, you can never change. The problem a lot of times is that we externalize our problems. We make our challenges some other people. And the thing about other people is that you can never control what other people do. The moment Adam said, "It was not me that did this, I'm not responsible for this problem, it is my wife that is responsible," then God asked his wife and said, "What have you done? Why have you done this?" The wife said, "It is not me that is responsible. Satan is responsible. The snake beguiled me." The moment, the moment Eve blamed Satan, it was in that moment that Satan became the God of this world. Because who you blame is your God. I'll say that again. Who you blame for your predicament has now become your God. If you blame politics, politics is your God. If you blame economy, economy has become your God. If you blame your location, location has become your God. But there are those who say it does not matter the economy I find myself, it does not matter the geographical location I find myself, it does not matter who is president or who is not. What I will become, I will become. What I can control, I will control. There's a powerful illustration when it comes to the sailor. The sailor goes on his ship. The sailor does not know what the sea will bring every day. The sailor does not receive an email telling him that, you know what, by the time you travel say, 70 kilometers, oh, I will begin to blow. The wind will begin to be boisterous and the storm will rage. The sailor does not get that memo. The sailor just gets into his ship. He cannot control the rain. He cannot control the wind. He cannot control the storm. He cannot control the waves of the sea. But there is only one thing it can control. It can control his sail. As long as he can control his sail, it does not matter how boisterous the wind and the storm and the rain is. If he can control his sail, he will enter into the destination that he has already marked out for himself. If he can control his sail, the problem is that we are always fixated, anxious, troubled about things that we cannot control. You can't control politics, so why worry about it? You can't control the economy, so why worry about it? You can't control the geography. Why you couldn't control where you were born, so why worry about it? But there is something you can control. You can control your attitude, you can control your mindset, you can control the knowledge that you interact with, you can control where you go, you can control who you speak with, you can control the knowledge you consume, you can control your habits, you can control your mindset, you can control that. But if you can control all of that and you control it properly, you will end up in the destination that you have always wanted to end up. Life always assists anyone who knows exactly where they are going. Life would assist you. It's just a matter of you knowing exactly where you're going. It's a matter of you knowing exactly where you're going. As powerful as Google is, as knowledgeable as ChatGPT is, if you don't know the question to ask, they are very useless to you. They are very useless to you. Imagine you have no questions for ChatGPT. Imagine you have no questions for Google. Exactly how can they help you? There is no way they can help you because they are prompt engineered. They are prompt assisted. If you don't have a way of telling them what you want from them, with all that knowledge they have, they can't assist you. It's the same with life. If you don't know exactly what you want from life, if you cannot control that which you should be able to control, even all the resources of this world at your disposal will still not be of benefit to you. And so it is important that you do not peg your mindset to political, economic, and geographical limitations. The challenge is never political, economic, and geographical limitation. The challenge is the quality of mental transformation that is dominant within a person. If the quality of your mindset is not accommodating to growth and transformation, you will shrink back to the reality of your mindset. Have you ever seen a beggar that was put in a mansion and then after 5 years, the beggar is back on the street because the mansion shrank to the size of his mindset? And so it is not so much about your current reality. It is much more about your current mental disposition, your current mental attitude. How are you currently thinking about yourself? Are you thinking of yourself as a beggar, a loser, a person who will not make so much out of this life, a person who, if the person does not find somebody, you are doomed. There is nothing about you. You have value by yourself. Remember, God is your potential, God is your source, God is your resource. If you have that, you don't need any other person again. All you need is to understand who you are in Christ, who you are in God, and then begin to use that understanding to bring out all the juicy details that God has painted inside of you. Of course, you will need people in the long run, but you must not see people as the raw material for your success. God is the raw material for your success. Your mental transformation is the second most important thing that you need for success. Every other thing is tertiary. You can't be placing a lot more faith and a lot more confidence in an external factor that you don't have control over and expect your life to turn out the way it's supposed to turn out. You want to see how losers talk? Go and ask them, why are you not the person you told us in the beginning that you're going to become? They will blame at least five things. They'll say somebody stole from me. They'll say it was when Babangida. They'll say it was when Buhari. It was when Goodluck Jonathan. It was when Olusegun Obasanjo. They will continue to blame the president. Which perfect president do you need to become successful? So, yeah, give us the template of the president that you will need. Because even if you need a particular profile of the president, after 4 years he has to go. Max 8 years he will still go. So at what point will you take your life into your hands and say, it does not matter who the president is, my life will not remain small. I choose never to remain small in this life. It is the quality of your mental transformation that determines how far and how high you go. The key to this transformation is mental fortitude and mental sophistication. How much do you have in your mind? America was built by men with hearts large enough to accommodate the frontiers of the economies that they ultimately pioneered and birthed. And this is so important. The men that built America had hearts that was larger than America because anyone who creates a thing has to be bigger than the thing he created. I'll say that again. The men that built America must have had a heart that is bigger than the America that they created because anyone who creates a thing has to essentially be bigger than that which he has created. The same way you will not find the creator of Monopoly inside Monopoly. You must know that the creator of Monopoly is bigger than Monopoly. He is outside of Monopoly. You can get to know about him through Monopoly, but you cannot know him in exclusive entirety inside Monopoly because he has to be bigger than that which he has created. If you made the slippers today, it would be an insult for you to be called the slippers, even though you are the one that made the slippers. Whoever created the thing has to be essentially bigger than that thing. The men that built America had a heart that was larger than an American. The men that built America had a heart that was larger than America. And that's the mindset you must have as well. That's the mindset you must have. Who are the men that built America? We had men like John Pierpont Morgan. The financial architecture of America was built by this man. We had men like Cornelius Vanderbilt. This was the guy that helped with laying the rail tracks of the modern civilization. So anything railroad transportation, he is the one that made that possible. We had men like Henry Ford. All right, men like Henry Ford, who made the Ford car and made sure that every average American home had a car that was affordable. Before him, only the richest of the richest had access to vehicles. We had John D. Rockefeller. John D. Rockefeller was the one that had Standard Oil, one of the richest men that has ever lived. He still has his foundation till today, blessing millions of lives across the globe. These were the men that built America. Men like Andrew Carnegie, men like Thomas Edison. These were, go and read their stories, the men that built America. Many of these men did not start out educated. Many of these men did not start out having a father that was rich. Many of these men just had a mindset that I want to make an impact in this world. And I will be very diligent. I will not give excuses. I will continue to make ends meet as much as possible. I will do what I can to make impact in this world. I will not give an excuse. I'll use Hansi Flick as a good example. You know, for those of you who follow football, Hansi Flick is the current Barcelona coach, right? Hansi Flick he used to be the coach of Bayern Munich and then the coach of um, Germany, the first team, Germany men's football team. Then he was hired by uh, the president of Barcelona, Joan Laporta. And before he was hired, of course, the previous coach, Xavi, who was a legend, a Barcelona legend, was sacked. And there was a particular statement that Xavi made that made them sack him. So they were asking, journalists were asking him, so what do we expect from Barcelona this coming season? This coming season, what are you going to do? Xavi said, well, I mean, it's very tough, it's very difficult because we don't have all the money in the world and our players are getting injured. We don't have the money to buy players. So we don't know if we'll be able to compete toe to toe with Real Madrid. So, but we are going to do our best to be able to do what we can to compete. Da, 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 da. The moment he started saying that, he was introducing a very weak mentality to the people. And there was no way he was going to, from that mindset, win La Liga or win Champions League or even compete at the highest level within the current campaign. So the president said, this mindset cannot carry us to the next level. We are going to change this person. So they sacked him and they got Hansi Flick. Hansi Flick has won several trophies, especially when he was in Bayern Munich. Now, one thing Hansi Flick never does, he just never does it, is to complain and say, oh, my team is a very young team. Because currently we have the youngest team in Europe. And guess what? We are also the best team in Europe, as I'm a Barcelona fan, so I keep using we. It's the youngest team and also the best team. Just last week, Saturday, Barcelona beat Real Madrid 4-0. And there were at least 7 to 8 La Masia graduates in the first team. La Masia is the academy for Football Club Barcelona, where all the young boys, are groomed to become future professional football stars and everything. And from them, we have two 17-year-olds who are there, 21-year-olds, 20-year-olds, seven of them, one of the youngest teams in Europe. Guess what? And they are beating experienced Real Madrid players. Madrid players that still won Champions League last season, and they've won Champions League at least 3 times in the last 5 years. Because this man will not give excuse. The same team that has injury, the same team that we do not buy any other player apart from Daniel. And I'm sorry I'm using this example for those who may not understand the context, but I'm sure the guys here can understand exactly what I'm saying. The coach refused to give an excuse, and that is where I'm going with this. The coach refused to give an excuse. He will not give any excuse. It does not matter what you throw at him. He will find a way to make it work. That is the mindset of champions. That is the mindset of champions. You cannot be a champion blaming everybody for your predicament. So it's because of this, it's because of that. Now let's bring it down a little to the reality of being a service here. And you're about to leave service here, for example, or you're still young and you're just growing and all of that. There are 3 types of people that leave the service here typically every single year. And there are 3 V's. We have the victims. These victims leave service here and all they're trying to do is to complain and wait for handouts. Oh, guy, urgent 2K, any job for your boy. I beg, when can I come? Please, I need money. I need to eat. Victims always crying foul, always crying that, oh, the economy is not good. The political climate is terrible. They said we're going to be the leaders of tomorrow. I mean, where is the opportunity? There is no job anywhere. They are always complaining. Now, am I saying the government is perfect? No. Am I saying the economy is perfect? No. Am I saying the geography is perfect? No. All I'm saying is that anyone that will become a champion will never give himself an excuse to afford failure. Because what excuses do is to make you afford failure, is to make failure affordable for you. God forbid that failure becomes affordable. It's too expensive. I cannot buy it. I will refuse to give myself an excuse as far as all the potential excuses that are bound in my reality. I will never take that excuse and say, you know what, it is because of this, it's because of that. And this is what victims do all the time. They're looking for people to pity them, looking for people to just pity them and give them something. Somebody can give you a handout today. What will you survive on tomorrow? Tomorrow you're back on the grind, begging again. A victim will never stop begging because his mindset does not produce value. And guess what? Victims need people that produce value in order to survive. That means if everybody in the world were victims, the world would be crushed. The world will not even exist. And this is one of the ways you think about your life. If everybody in this world thought like you, will we have a world? Or this world would have gone up in smoke? Because victims are always complaining about everything. Then there are vendors. Vending machine where you just go, you slot in your coin, and then they'll give you something, give you vending machines. So these vendors are children that are entitled. They came from very rich homes. Their parents already have jobs waiting for them. They have an uncle in Dubai. They have someone that can give them money to do anything they want to do. They have enough money in their trust fund that they can start like 10 businesses. If every of them fails, they will still go broke. They have enough money to try and misuse money. These are vendors. They are entitled, they're comfortable, but they are unimpactful. These people don't live for significance, they live for comfort. They don't live for significance, they live for comfort. They live to just go by, just enjoy life and just soft life. They're the ones that talk about soft life. They're the ones that say, I just want to be taken care of. They're the ones that say, let me just travel loud. Let me just, they just want soft life. And that is not where impact lies. Jeff Bezos was not looking for soft life. Elon Musk was not looking for soft life. Mark Zuckerberg, they were not looking for soft life. All these guys that built America, they were not looking for soft life. They were looking for a life that their children would consider soft. So they were looking for impact, not soft life. The person that is looking for soft life will have no life to transfer to his own generations. Do you know what I just said? It's okay to look for soft life, but at what expense? I hope it is not at the expense of your future generations. Because if the people that gave us the life that we have today, if they were looking for soft life, we will not have the life that we have today. The reason why you have soft life on your tarred road is because somebody thought of tars. Somebody thought of converting limestone. Somebody thought of cement. Somebody thought of all these things. Then the person went to work, then created all this value, then created an industry, then began to sell cement, began to sell tars, began to sell limestone. Then the government bought it, then they made roads. Then you can then soft life on that road. You can sleep on a soft bed because somebody thought about it. What can I use to make a mattress that is comfortable for the back, for the body, so that people will not wake up with back pains? And how can I make life soft for the next generation? So he started to think about it. And then he made the life impact with his mattress. Somebody thought of the rubber that was used for the cars. Somebody thought of the food that you're eating today. All the things you consider to be soft life today was a product of somebody's labor and sweat and blood. If they were looking for soft life, you will not have the life you call soft today. And so this is where vendors are. They are always looking for soft life. How can I just take? They take all they can. They sit on the can. All right. They can all they get. They sit on the can. They gather everything and they don't want to give. They don't want to have any form of impact in their lives. Entitled, comfortable, unimpactful, and spoiled brats. They are vendors. Always looking for who to give them. Oh yeah, mommy, give me money. Oh yeah, daddy, give me money. They turn everybody into ATM machine. And the moment the inheritance finishes, they finish with it. So they go back to victims. A vendor will ultimately become a victim in the final analysis. Because by the time he does not have mommy, daddy, and everybody else to give him money, he will say it's because mommy and daddy did not leave him enough money. He will say it's because they did not save up enough money. He will say it's because they were not hardworking enough for him to enjoy the life. Many of them become drug addicts, depressed in their later lives. But there are those who are called victors. Oh, glory to God. Can you type in the chat room, say, I'm a victor, I'm a victor? Even if your name is not Victor, just say it there, I'm a victor, I'm a victor, I'm a victor. Glory to God. I'm a victor. It does not matter how they start. Whether they start out in a poor situation or they start out in a rich situation, it does not matter. Victors want to make impact by themselves. They want to be significant in their world. They create value. They create value. They build transgenerational wealth. These are victors. They look for problems in the society. They think inward and they're like, what do I have that can solve this problem? How can I contribute to the solutions in this problem? For example, I am currently leading, all right, an edtech startup. Currently, Nigeria, over 1.8 million students write JAM every single year. But if you combine all the infrastructural capacity of all the tertiary institutions and traditional university systems together, combining with polytechnics and colleges of education, they can only accommodate about 600,000 of those 1.8 million people. Where should the remaining 1.6 or 1.2 million, where should they go for education and tertiary education, qualitative tertiary education? And that was a problem that I looked at, and when we came up with Hardy Business School, which is a platform where you can learn a lot of soft skills and, of course, a lot of degree-bearing courses as well. So that instead of going to the traditional systems of universities and all of that, you can learn online and begin to earn while learning. Incredible stuff. Now, all of that was because I thought about what Nigerians have significant access to. We have access to internet, we have data, we have devices. How about you bring education to people's devices instead of asking people to travel even to places where there's not enough seating capacity to accommodate as many of the potential people that need tertiary education. How about we bring tertiary education to people's doorstep? Put it on their phone, go on an app, and then you can learn and at an affordable price where you're not paying for hostel, you're not paying for mattress, you're not paying for one money, one food, one library. Everything is online and it crashes the cost of education and it does not reduce the quality. That was a solution that we brought into the market that created Hardy Business School. Significance. The objective is to make over 1 million Africans literate by the year 2028. That is our target. This is apart from the work that I'm doing as a pastor and as a leader of Christians. See, you cannot live this life thinking of how to collect and how to collect. What will you give back to this world? What will you give back to this world? Are you a victor or you're a victim? The peg mindset makes you a victim. Victims explain and explain, but there's no single evidence. Instead, you must take responsibility, be adaptable, be collaborative. The objective is to produce a mindset that creates a limitless supply of value. Now, there are three kinds of value as I begin to round off this evening. Three kinds of value that every economy runs on: knowledge, product, and network. Now, you may consider yourself, just like our last speaker said, talking about what is your talent, what are the things that you love to do. You check this thing. Every economy runs on these three things. Knowledge, what do you know? What can you do with what you know? What do you, like, if you are a consultant, for example, you're in the knowledge economy. How do people who are producers and those who are networkers, how can they combine what they have to produce much more value? So consultants are there. All right. Anyone whose real value is knowledge. For example, at the business school, what we are into is the knowledge economy. You come on that platform, you learn a lot, and then you go back different. You go back to your office and you're a lot more valuable, you're a lot more significant, you're a lot more contributive to the bottom line of your organization because you have now received knowledge. Knowledge ultimately impacts on products and networks. So knowledge is a very powerful economy to play in. And so if you love books, you love knowledge, you love concepts, you love frameworks, you love ideas, you just might be in the knowledge space. And look for how to leverage that knowledge to help those who may be in products and services industries. Because it is products and services that drive e-commerce. It is commerce that drives economy. And however, but it is knowledge that gives the intelligence and the ideation and the strategies and the planning and the structure and the systems and and all the things that is required in order for those products and services to be effectively administered and executed. And so you need to understand where you need to play. Are you in the knowledge space? Are you in the product space? You like to make things with your hands. You can make this, you can make that, you can cut hair, you can repair phone, you can create stuff, you can make hair, all right? Or you can create soap, you can create shoes, you can sell. You are into products. You are into products. If that is your gift, focus on it. Create something. Create parfait. Cook food. Do something. Repair something. Do something. Because the knowledge guys, they are knowers. The product guys, they are doers. Then the network guys, they are linkers. Because see, it does not matter how good your product is. If you don't have a platform where you can sell what you have, okay, sorry, just forget it. There's no point. You see, Facebook is a network platform. Facebook's product is network value. That is, Facebook just created a platform where people who have product and knowledge can interact. LinkedIn, all the social media is network. Network is one of the biggest values in the world because what you have as product that I need, and you're an American and here, I don't know that you have it until there's a platform where you can place your product and I can see it and I say, I need that thing so I can begin to buy from you. And most of all the unicorns that we have in the world today, they play in the network space. But the network space is important because there is product that is being serviced on it. So we have people putting their services and their products on these networks. All right. So networks in an individual sense are people who connect buyers to sellers. You don't have the product. You don't want to buy the product. But you know the person that has the product. You know the person that wants to buy the product. You link two of them together. You collect a commission on it. And then you're making your money. Sometimes if you're a linker, you can make a lot more money than even those that are the producers of the whole. I mean, just go and ask any company how much they're paying in marketing. The marketing platforms, Facebook, IG, they don't produce the product. They don't buy the product, but they produce and they provide the infrastructure and the platform for the buyers to meet the sellers. And that is where they play in. And so locate yourself within these three broad frameworks of value creation and then begin to consolidate on it, improve on your value, and then significantly market yourself, and you will never be without value. Then there are three powerful skills. As you begin to discover yourself, okay, am I in the knowledge space? Am I in the product space? Am I in the network space? These three skills will be relevant where whichever space you find yourself. Cognitive abilities, cognitive skills, the knowledge you have, your ability to recognize what is required, what is relevant, critical thinking, problem solving, the ability to provide solution to anything you find yourself. That is cognitive ability. Communication skills. How well are you able to communicate your vision? How well are you able to communicate your idea? How well are you able to compel people to listen to what you have to say? Do you have the right set of words? Do you read wide? Do you understand how to communicate to the human psyche? And then there's collaborative skills, because you can never achieve anything great in this life without collaborating with others. You are not the only great person in this life. There are other great people. And in order for you to do great things, you must collaborate with people. There would always be a Stephen Wozniak to your Steve Jobs. There would always be somebody else. There would always be a Bishop David Abioye to your Bishop David Oyedepo. Your ability to collaborate with people. I lead a church, so I only me as the pastor cannot be a church. I have to be able to talk to people. I have to be able to get people to say, you know what, follow me. See Jesus, he spoke to the disciples, follow me and I will make you fishers of men. He didn't just sit on the mountain and say, the Messiah has come. He started talking to people. He started appointing people. He said, you be my treasurer. He said, you be my personal assistant. You be my inner circle. You be Thaddeus, you be this. And he began to gather them to himself. He was able to collaborate with them. And because he collaborated with them, thank God he chose 12 disciples. If Jesus had not chosen 12 disciples, he would have been great while he was alive. He would have died and be raised from the dead. He would go to heaven, and there will be no Christianity after he goes to heaven. The reason why we have Christianity today is not only because Jesus came and died for your sins. It is because Jesus came, died for your sins, but he left 12 people to continue his work. He collaborated with them so that his value can transcend the generation that he lived in. If you're not collaborative, your value will die in your generation, and God forbid that will not be your portion. And so you need these three powerful skills: cognitive skills, communication skills, and collaborative skills. These skills will exponentially improve the value you command. I am done with my presentation. I hope you found this very useful, and I hope you have learned a thing or two from this session. Thank you for having me.
Really, mindware has been installed. Thank you very much. This was so profound. This is like I have points, we have notes. Where do we start from? Victims, vendors, victors. The way you put it, it's so straight to the point, clear. We get the message. It's either you're a victim, you're a vendor, and you're a victor. While you were speaking, somebody said a lot of people are in this vendor category, right? You know, how that you just wait for handouts, just give me, give me, give me. And a lot are also in the victim category as well. But the people we want to raise here are those who are in the victor category, right? It's just so clear. It's just so clear to see, and we are fired up, right? We're fired up. At this point, if you still have questions, because I know that a number of people might have questions. If you still have questions, I'm sure that he can be kind enough to take maybe one or two before, because I know that he has a very busy schedule. If he can just take maybe one or two before, right? That is if you still have questions, because I am just so fired up. The language of slaves is complain, like the promised land is not meant for slaves. Greener pasture is not a location, it's a mindset. It's a mindset, right? Do we have any questions? Do we have any questions? Or we can just, allow him take any questions? Do we have any questions? Or you are as fired up as I am, right? Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate this time, right? Like I say, every time, let me tell you a secret. Let me tell you, because I do not have this opportunity every day, right? Anytime I get the opportunity to meet him, before I meet him, I write questions, right? This is a true story. Before I get to meet him, I write questions that I want to ask him, because any opportunity I can get to take out a few things from him, I take the most advantage of it, right? Thank you very much, sir. You've been a blessing to my world. You've been a blessing to this generation. You've been a blessing to Africa. I really appreciate you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very
Thank you
much,
for
sir.
having me, EDK. God bless you. It was great hanging out with you guys today, and I hope you learned a thing or two from this session.
Thank you.
God bless your heart. Take care.
Thank you very much, sir. We can't wait for you to come to Abuja. I'll say that again. Please come to Abuja
No
so
Allah.
soon. We'll have you. Yeah, thank you very
No Allah.
much.
Thank you so much.